Hello, YouTube. My name is Alan, and it's that time once again. Let's talk metal. Tonight, I'm doing a follow-up to an episode of Heavy Metallurgy that was done a few months ago at this point. It took me a lot longer to get around to this video than I intended. Wanted to do it sooner, but it kind of got buried on my to-do list. The spring was a very busy time for me at work, but I'm finally getting around to a few odds and ends that slipped through the cracks. The heavy metallurgy episode in question, we had Philip from Chromium Dioxide on as our guest, and we talked about humor in heavy metal and just showed off different records and things that were goofy in some way or another, maybe novelty songs, crazy cover art, goofy band photos, whatnot. And I showed a few obscure 7-inch singles that night that got a good response. Weird things nobody had seen before, but definitely got a few lols out of Philip and people in the chat. And so I meant to follow it up and actually make a video where I played some clips so people could hear what the heck these weird things sounded like. Well, here you go, better late than never. I chose 3 of them from that live stream to feature on tonight's video. The first one up is a band called Blue Raven. This one, for some reason, one of the goofy things on this one was they had the name Raven spelled backwards going off into the picture, which, yeah, was just kind of a weird way to do the logo. The other thing that was goofy was this band picture. Yeah, this does not look like a particularly heavy band. Um, I'm not sure what kind of band they do look like. So, yes, we had a bit of a chuckle at the somewhat dated band photo. But of course, on Heavy Metallurgy, we don't play sound clips or hardly ever, so didn't get a chance to check out the music. Let's hear the A side from this called Leave It All Behind Me. All right, so that is Leave It All Behind Me by Blue Raven. The verses, they're maybe a little lightweight, kind of an odd structure to them, but the chorus is quite good, and there's a reasonably heavy guitar sound to it. This is the kind of thing from like the early and mid 1980s that is a little hard to classify. It is not flat out heavy metal music. In fact, some people would probably listen to that and say that's not really heavy metal. I'm not going to, argue in great detail with them. It's not a hill I'm going to die on. There were a lot of these bands though. They kind of straddle the, hard rock and metal boundaries. The song's a little heavy for hard rock in the 80s, but yeah, it's not fully developed heavy metal either. I tend to like a lot of the bands that fall into this niche because they tend to still have good songwriting chops, good melodies, catchy songs, but yeah, they're just not the heaviest things on earth. So what do we know about Blue Raven? Not much. This band I have been digging on and cannot find much information. I tried before the live stream and couldn't find anything then either. I can't find an entry for this single on Discogs even, which, yeah, if it's not on Discogs, it's definitely getting kind of deep in the weeds there. What do we know? Well, they're on the Destiny Records label with this particular logo. So yellow label with red print and a globe. It's not the only single I own on Destiny Records, actually. I also have one by a band called Organized Confusion, which is another band kind of similar in style, where it's kind of heavy, but not, balls to the wall heavy metal either. And I have a note written about some singles that mentions Destiny was more of a punk label than anything else. So I'm assuming there are other releases on Destiny from more punk-oriented bands, but I haven't been able to find anything about the label either. Destiny, unfortunately, is a very generic name for a label. So typing, Destiny Records in for a Google search or even a Discog search, I'm getting a lot of crap, hits that are not at all what I'm looking for. Haven't tracked down information about it. So if anybody watching this knows more about Destiny Records or Blue Raven in particular, I'd love to find out more about them. I have a note that the band was from Massachusetts, but uh, and there's no follow-up to that. I can, of course, just look on the back of the picture sleeve for more helpful information, and they literally printed a one-sided picture sleeve. There is absolutely nothing on the back of the sleeve. I'm guessing Destiny Records was a relatively budget kind of affair. Maybe they blew all their budget on the blue ink for the logo on the front. I don't know. Regardless, I do like the track we just heard, Leave It All Behind Me. Good vocalist, quite good in that department, good emotion with it. The flip side is called Love You, Loving Me. Sounds like a ballad, but it's actually a pretty similar rocking tune. If you like the A side, you'll like the B side. I don't have a clip booted up for this one. Um, yeah, you'll just have to take my word for it. That it works in a pretty similar manner. And again, the guitars are just a little too heavy for this to be considered a generic rock track. But there are definitely some, pop melodies worked in. Yeah, I believe the single came out in 1985. There is an 85 date on it, so it's probably 85 or early 86. So yeah, a little dated for that part of the mid 1980s. But you get the feeling this was the kind of band that was perfect for playing that mythical, magical event from the 1980s known as the Backyard Kegger. A band trying to be a bit heavy, but wanting to make sure they had enough appeal to play to a crowd and get a lot of people listening to them, not just trying to play to like, a Hells Angels festival or something like that. So yeah, Blue Raven, I dig the single. Don't really know anything about them. I've only seen one or two copies of the single ever come across my radar, and I bought one of them. So let's move on then to band number two, Organized Confusion. We'll save that one for another day. So another one I showed off that night on Heavy Metallurgy that folks got a bit of a kick out of was a single by a band called the Al Smith Group. Now, right away, anytime you have a band named after someone, that can get pretty dicey. I think Aaron, the metal theologian, has made that point, and he is exactly right. Whenever it's, the so-and-so group, it's like, really? That's the best you could do for a name? Was name yourself after, I guess, whichever guy in the band owns the van that you're using to haul your gear? I don't know. Anyway, this one is called the Al Smith Group, and they made this one single in 1981 called Young Girls on Ice. And we got a laugh out of this one because on the live stream, because yeah, you can see they kind of committed the budget to the concept with, two models in lingerie posing as, I guess, they've been iced and laying in a big pile of ice. It's so cool it's hot, or it's so hot it's cool. I don't know, but you know what they're trying to do there. So yeah, let's check out the L. Smith Group and see what this sounds like. We'll start with the flip side this time, called Modern Ways. All right. Well, you have Modern Ways. Interesting song. This one, the verses are relatively heavy. There's a decent riff going on there. But then you have that kind of spacey, airy bridge in the middle of it. Quite a strange composition, but I kind of like it. Another band that, again, they're too heavy to just call them a generic rock band. But yeah, they're not heavy enough to call a heavy metal band. And keep in mind, too, now this came out in 1981. There's not a lot of actual bona fide heavy metal happening in the United States in 1981. And there are a few bands here and there doing a few things. You've got, the Rods, and Riot in New York. But the US was a little slow out of the gate with heavy metal in the early 80s. Anyway, let's also check out the flip side and see what the Young Girls on Ice track sounds like.
Working hard between those cold white sheets tonight. It don't seem right. Little Mary don't suspect to be buried along with all those girls who pay the price. Not once but twice. Young girls are naive.
All right, so there is a bit of Young Girls on Ice. A little faster paced, and again, it's got an edge of heaviness to it, but it's certainly not over the top heavy. So, going for, sort of a rock metal hybrid kind of sound. Yeah, as far as the band picture goes, that tie is distressingly narrow. If you were just, looking at this picture, you'd probably start thinking new wave act, especially with it being from 1981. The lighting and the expression on this guy's face is just a thing that, and once again, the whole concept of the picture, the band photo, we had to, we got a chuckle out of on the Humor in Metal stream. I love the fact too that, it's still a black and white picture sleeve. You tend to think by the 1980s, most bands would have been moving away from that, but no, black and white photography to save a buck was still very much a thing in the early 80s. And it wasn't just new wave of British heavy metal bands that were doing that for their singles. You had American bands doing it too. Again, not much information about the band whatsoever. I've got a note that they were from California, and this is the only record I know of by them. And decent little single. May not be everybody's cup of tea. If you're looking for, morbid corpse, cemetery, urine, cadaver, or something or another, and this is not the video for you. We'll circle back to some death metal on another evening. All right, third and last. This one probably got the most chuckles of any of the random singles I showed on the live stream. And this band, it's a thing. The band's name is Throbbing Wolfpack. Yes, you heard that right. Throbbing Wolfpack. They made this one single, I believe it's from around 1985, and it pairs the songs Wayne's Workout, like Wayne's World, but Wayne's Workout instead. And the flip side is I Love Me. Buckle up, because this ride's going to get real goofy real fast. Before I talk about Throbbing Wolfpack some more, let's check out a clip of I Love Me. Pay attention to the lyrics.
It was on my 16th birthday. I got a full-length mirror. I stared at the vision in the glass that dared me to come near. I accepted my challenge and placed my lips on mine. I stare into my own blue eyes. Would I be my Valentine? I love me. I love me. I love me so much. And I love me too.
Okay. Any song that starts with the lines, on my 16th birthday, I got a full-length mirror. It's going to go into some interesting places. Let's just go ahead and hear the flip side before we try to make some sense of this one. The flip side is called Wayne's Workout. And once again, this is going to get real weird real fast. Okay, it's not going to get much better from there. Once again, any song that starts to reference Jane Fonda workout tapes, it's going. If we continue on, you end up with lyrics such as "She's my furry concubine." Um, I'm not sure what's happening in this song. I don't think I really want to know what's happening in this song. But so Throbbing Wolfpack, and we have a promo photo of the band. Because why wouldn't I have a promo photo of the band? Why don't you have a promo photo of the band? I'll tell you why you don't have a promo photo of the band. Because you're not a sick little monkey like I am. There. Now we all understand each other. So yeah, here's the band goofing off. This was, and not only for the goofy music, but the goofy pictures, why I included it on the Heavy Metallurgy live stream on Humor and Metal in the first place. Excuse me. So some things to note here. One, the band is on their own label called Seder Records, which it's not much of a stretch to make that into Satire Records, which, let's face it, we're definitely dealing with kind of a novelty act here that just trends towards a little bit heavy-ish sounding, kind of. Not a lot of info on Throbbing Wolfpack until I started digging around on the internet and found a couple of things. One, the band actually does have a Facebook page. Now, I don't do Facebook at all, so I can't access a lot of stuff on the page, but it is there. They do have a couple of video clips and stuff. They were apparently active in the general Baltimore area in the mid 1980s. At least one site references them as more of an art rock band. Not sure singing about Jane Fonda and My Furry Concubine qualifies as art rock, but well, they say art's subjective, so we'll just let that one slide. But yeah, another thing I found that kind of corroborates the Baltimore time and place is there's actually about a 30-minute interview with the band posted on YouTube. The video was done by someone at Towson University, which is up there in the kind of the greater Maryland, Baltimore Maybe it's technically in the corner of Delaware. I forget exactly. But yeah, someone interviewed them in January 1987. It very much sounds like a college radio station kind of interview. The interview, I was hoping maybe it would provide a little more information about the band, but you know, the band members are basically kind of doing a shtick. And their gimmick is that they were from Iceland or Finland. They seem to go back and forth on that a little bit. They mostly reference Finland, but they seem to slip up and say Iceland once or twice. You can tell they hadn't rehearsed this very well. Where they had been, this, hugely popular band. And then, Seder Records was supposed to open up an office in Baltimore. And so the band moved to Baltimore. And at the last second, the label didn't open an office. And then the band was kind of stranded there trying to make their way on the American music scene. Yeah, and they, are talking like, most of the band members don't speak English. So there's just like one guy who's doing all the talking for them. And he sounds very unsure of himself. You can tell it's not hard to imagine they're just making the stuff up on the fly during the interview. There are some things, that are factual in the video. They reference getting to play on Maryland public access radio. And that video clip is available on their Facebook page. It's one that I could access. It shows them doing a version of the Monster Mash, presumably around Halloween of 1986, since the interview was done in January 87, and they're talking about it in past tense that it kind of happened last Halloween. And again, the guy talking on behalf of the band is saying like, oh yeah, it was this huge disaster because we made this record. We made a single for the Monster Mash, and it was supposed to be our hit single, and but there was a delay in shipping, so all the stores got it on the day after Halloween, so nobody bought it. And it's just, yuck, 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 kind of, yeah, just again, novelty level stuff going on. So yeah, that's about everything I could dredge up on Throbbing Wolfpack. Don't appear to have released any other records, despite their claims of having a single for the Monster Mash. You do hear a couple of other songs by the band during that 30-minute interview clip. There's an instrumental called, I think it was called Jelly Bean. And they reference a couple of dates and shows that the band played in the greater Baltimore area. So, there's some tidbits of information here and there about them. But yeah, if nothing else, they left us with this one very weird, goofy single. This is the kind of thing that, yeah, if you sat and try to listen to the lyrics in detail, which I pointedly have not, some people would probably find it hilarious. Some people would probably find it extremely stupid. And some people might find it kind of offensive. I don't want to know where the whole Jane Fonda and furry concubine thing actually goes. We're just going to leave it as I'm not sure. I haven't played it and listened to it. If you want to, you might be able to find it on the interwebs. But again, not much information really about any of these three bands I've shown tonight, but they left behind some maybe unintentionally hilarious visuals. Blue Raven and Al Smith Group left behind some relatively cool songs, in my opinion. Throbbing Wolfpack, well, we've had some fun talking about a very oddball single, if nothing else. But now it's time to talk metal in the comments down below. What do you think of these? Does this early 80s kind of rock metal hybrid style appeal to you? I understand, especially for younger generations of music fans, it may be something that just doesn't work for them. If you grew up and you already had black metal and death metal and all this stuff available, these bands that were kind of straddling a rock metal line from the early 80s might just not be your cup of tea. Like I said before, I do like a lot of them, and we'll feature more of them in the future. What do you think of Throbbing Wolfpack? Is that just a disaster? Is it so bad it's great? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Again, the band does have a Facebook page. If I remember, I'll try to include a link to it in the show notes down below. Also, try to remember to include a link to the interview. The interview video is posted on YouTube. It's not going to be that hard to find. Believe it or not, there's not really that many Throbbing Wolfpack videos on YouTube, so it should float to the top of the list pretty quickly if you type in Throbbing Wolfpack, if you just really need to spend 30 minutes of your life listening to a very goofy, kind of schlocky interview that uh, probably doesn't contain that much factual information. But it's a bit fun nonetheless. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Until next time, everybody take care. And as always, keep banging your head.